Hey there, lovely listeners. Welcome to Uniquely Wired Podcast. I'm your host, Nani. On this podcast, we uncover the beauty and nature of autism through heartfelt conversations. Let's jump in. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to Uniquely Wired Podcast. I'm your host, Nani, and I am so happy for this episode. I have a very special guest joining us on this episode of the podcast, and that is my girl, Marlene, all the way from the state of Georgia, which it's crazy, but I am so happy to have her here. I actually met Marlene back in September when I had my very first autism retreat for autism moms, and she came all the way from Georgia with her sister-in-law, and she was nothing but an absolute blessing to the group. So I'm so happy to have her here. And this episode we are going to talk about not just autism, but we are also going to talk about rare condition, which she's going to dive more into that so you guys have an understanding of what it is. So Marlene, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about AJ and how did you get the autism diagnosis?
Thank you so much for having me on here. I am super flattered to be a guest. Well, my name is Marlene, and I am the founder of Helping Swans Co., a company, a nonprofit. And I based it off of the trials and tribulations of getting the diagnosis for my son. So my son was born typical pregnancy. Everything was going perfectly fine. And then he was rushed to the neonatal intensive care unit for a few weeks. And that's when we knew we had problems. And because of those problems, it led me to becoming that note taking mom. Everything my child did was a sign or a symptom. So I was extra vigilant on everything he did or did not do, according to the books, right? So he was not really reaching any of his milestones on time. So I knew that before 18 months, my son was on the spectrum. But because he has a genetic condition, a disorder or disease of the DNA, we were dismissed twice. I had my son evaluated. I went to the extreme of appealing a lot of insurance companies for the evaluation and then paying out of pocket for another opinion a few years later, only to be told my child cannot be declared autistic because we don't know what he has genetically. So, because of that, it took us 7 years to get an autism diagnosis.
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here like, what? Wow. 7 years. So, okay, so he was 7 when he received his diagnosis?
Yes, he was 7 years old when he received his diagnosis. Absolutely.
Wow, that is insane. The fact that, they made you go through all of that. And I had just spoke about this, how literally in the world of, support needs, as they say now, it, people don't understand, you know what I mean, how much we have to jump, all these hoops to get what we want to get, and it's like, man, lawyers have to be involved, all type of things. And sometimes I feel like it's unnecessary to have to do all of that, but yet they make you do all of that. So it's just, first of all, it's inspiring to see your resilience through your whole journey up to now, because how old is AJ right now?
He is going to almost be 11 in a few
Oh
months.
my
Yeah.
gosh. Wow. He's so handsome. I love watching his videos. Listen, it's just so beautiful how you put him out there despite of his disability, despite, like, just bringing hope to other families and letting them know it does not matter your child's disability. They too deserve to be included. They too deserve to be part of this world like any child, right? So I love that. Well, I want to start off with an ice-breaking question before we continue with the other questions. So what's your favorite hobby? Marlene, I'm not sure that I know your favorite hobby, but I wanted to know if you can share with the listeners, what's something that you love to do.
I think my favorite, I don't know if it's a hobby, but I love to host. So, catering to people, inviting people over, cooking dinner, serving the drinks. I can go to your house and become the host at your house. Like, that's just who I am. So, decorating for every single holiday throughout the year. Like, I am changing pillows and changing bathroom curtains for every single holiday. Like, my house is Valentine's Day right now and things like that. So that just brings me happiness.
Love that. I know a few people close to me that love hosting, and listen, they have the gift. And you know what? I did see part of that when we were together. You did ended up hosting because my mom broke her foot unexpectedly when she was supposed to host us, and you took over. So thank you. I want to thank you publicly. I know I thank you already many times, but I want to thank you publicly because y'all, she took on the job that technically my mom was supposed to be doing, but ended up hurting herself. That was craziness, but thank you so much. I can definitely see that in you. So that's awesome. Okay, so my next question will be, can you tell us more about your child's rare condition?
So I like to give sometimes an example so that people can kind of understand what it means. When we say rare, in the rare community, we like to say rare is not so rare, meaning that there are over 7,000 rare diseases. And, the likelihood of you already knowing someone with a rare disease is very high and common. But my son specifically falls into a small category where he has a condition that is undiagnosed. We have done DNA testing. We see that he has differences in the DNA, but there's very little to no evidence on how to back that up. So he could be one of three or one of the first of its kind. So this is how conditions eventually grow up to becoming a name, like Down syndrome or cerebral palsy. At one point in time, there was no name. There was no scientific evidence behind it. There were no patients. So he falls under that very small, undiagnosed category, which is where we get the name the Swan Kid. So he's my Swan Kid, and Swan stands for syndrome without a name.
I'm sorry, y'all. I have to keep muting myself and I'm muting myself. But I'm literally like, whoa, mind blown. So now, how does he feel about all of this now that I know that wasn't one of the questions, but I'm feeling led to ask that question. Like, how is AJ feeling, now that he is getting older? And, I'm sure he's noticing that he is different from other children around him. So, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
It is so first I want to clarify when you have a condition that is undiagnosed, people ask me all the time, so what does that really mean or how do you treat that, right? So let's just understand one thing. We take on every symptom or every condition individually. So it's like saying you have the flu or you have a cold. You take care of the cold the way you would take care of a cold. You take care of the flu the way you would take care of the flu. So with him, he has 10 plus multiple conditions and sees more than 15 specialists and has had multiple procedures. We handle each condition by itself. Okay. So, with that being said, I've always talked to my child, expressing to them what he has. So that way, one day, in the hopes of him being able to verbally communicate back to me, he would have an understanding of who he is and what he stood for. And in our household, we're different, we're not less. We're different, we're not less. That is part of our daily affirmations. And he has encountered bullying. Has encountered a lot of things, but what he also has come to the realization at 10 years old is he has a voice and his voice is powerful. So his own videos that you see daily AM with AJ is literally AJ's idea. It is him saying, we have to record a little something today. He may not have the topic, but the autism has helped him face reality a lot easier because, some autism um, people can actually not care about people's opinion, right? Like, you don't like me? You just made fun of my teeth? Oh, well, right? So he has that from the autism spectrum disorder, which is his shield. I call it his shield because it protects him from feeling any type of way towards discrimination, which he faces every day. And it helps us.
This thing, it's getting on my nerves. Anyways, wow, that is so inspiring because I'm sure people probably think like, "Oh, this was probably Marlene's idea," because they see you on social media all the time and posting your amazing videos. And the fact that you just confirmed like this is coming from your son, like this is his idea. He wants to put himself out there so other children his age and perhaps older don't feel alone. They can see, like, listen, if I'm doing this, you can do this too. And honestly, it's inspiring whenever I get on Instagram and his videos are usually like the first ones. If you ever post them, they're normally the first ones. And I'm like, I just love it. Sometimes I don't get the chance to comment all the time, but I'll give it a heart. And it's just truly inspiring to see his confidence. When he posted today, I think I saw the video of him with the Marvel, gown. I was like, yes, AJ. I love it. I love it. I love it. And honestly, if I'm honest, it gives me confidence to, do my videos and do what I do. So, shout out to him. I need to have him as a guest very, very soon, okay? Because I'm sure he'll have a lot to say. So I just love it. All right. Our next question will be, what are some of the daily challenges of dealing with that, you're dealing with right now as the mom? Like I know that you mentioned his challenges and the things he deals with. But you as the mom, what are some of those challenges?
Well, I think like most parents, finding the inner strength to continue even when you get diagnosed or get bad news. I think that's the hardest challenge, to have a brave face. But how can you, in my particular situation, how can you not be that when you see AJ post a video in a hospital gown right before general anesthesia and said, we have to do AM with AJ? So it's like he is my strength. And I know this sounds so cheesy and like everyone thinks this way, but it is true. Your child does give you the courage to continue to fight. And
Mhm.
one of my biggest obstacles that go hand in hand with parenting and my child is that with being on the spectrum, AJ loves a routine. He has a routine, structured life that we wish to abide by, right? Like
Mm.
everyone wants to abide by their routine.
Right.
But unfortunate for us, not because of location or where we are or school or anything, the medical conditions determine the routine for the day. So
Mm,
if the medical conditions throw us for a loop, then we can't meet meal times. We can't
mm,
commit to the things we committed to yesterday, which then throws them off. So
mm,
whereas, you know, if it were just specifically the autism and the ADHD, because he is ADHD, if it were
mhm,
just those things and it's like, well, today we can't go to the movies because mom's car doesn't work, I would have a hard time with him on the routine, which still does
mm.
happen, right? But if
Wow.
tomorrow he's not feeling well, it's like, I still can't do these things, but I have to protect you. And your health is
Mm,
very important, and your
mm.
weak immune system can't be exposed. So things like COVID for everyone else was dramatic. Mine was to the extreme.
Right, right. It was extra, much harder. Mm. Wow. So, I know that you just jumped into like his autism. What are some of those traits that he does have of autism that I know can, I know you were just sharing, but especially in, does he tend to have, I guess my question will be, does he tend to have more challenging, mornings than a typical person, or does it fluctuate depending on his health, right? Because we know autism is not, you know um I don't want to say it's not a physical thing, but you know what I mean. It's not like a health condition like what he has with his rare condition, you know what I mean? So how do you say that affects that daily routine with him? Because he's verbal, right? He's verbal and he expresses to you how he feels. Like when I put myself in your shoes, it's a little hard to understand to an extent because both of mine are non-speaking. And I'm still trying to figure out how can I get them to like express to me what it is that's going on. I kind of just go based on like our routine daily that I already know what they want. But in your case, he's expressing to you. So like, do you stop everything you're doing to be like, all right, we're gonna listen to AJ, or do you like push him and say, no, we have to get this done? You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes
Um,
sense.
I try to do a combination of it all. I try to be compassionate. I try to be the mom. I try to be the guide, and I still try to steer him to whatever it is that I need ultimately done because I believe in my hearts of hearts that um, medical conditions, autism, rare disease, whatever it is, I'm still the parent, and I'm in control. His condition doesn't
Mm-hmm.
control my household. There's a
Come
difference
on.
between respecting the condition and respecting the moment he's in. But as the parent, I
That's
am in
good.
control. I'm going to steer him how I want as best as
Mm-hmm.
I can. I'm going to get him
Mm-hmm.
to as close as I can to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So with us, I think that one of the hard parts and one of the things that are definitely autism for us is his lack of imagination, sarcasm. He doesn't tolerate, he's a very literal child, and
Mm-hmm.
it's black and it's white, there is no gray. And the fact that he can express that verbally, sometimes I crack up because of the things that comes out his mouth, but sometimes it's like, ooh, he'll be like, there's no point in that. I don't
Right.
understand why we're even talking about that or why we're going to do that. And it's not that he's being smart with me as his mom or with anybody else, another adult who doesn't understand or doesn't know what he has. He's just saying exactly what he's thinking. So, where to as a child that is
Right.
nonverbal, if they don't like
Mm-hmm.
something, they're going to scream it out to you, right? Where when my son had the flu last month, it clicked to me, and I did a video where he's just like, my safe foods don't feel safe no more. And I said, what? He's like, my favorite drinks don't taste good. He's like, my favorite foods don't taste good. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't want nothing to do with it. And he waited almost a week after the flu to say, Mom, can you buy me a vitamin water so I could taste it to see if it's brought back the flavor?
Oh
That
my
was huge for me
God.
because
Yeah.
had he not been able to verbally tell me that, we're not thinking flu. We're like, okay, maybe his taste buds are off. But he confirmed, like this doesn't even taste good, and this is the only thing I like to eat.
Wow. That's mind blowing. And he is, well, almost 11 years old. So the fact that he's telling you this, like, listen, mom, I know what it tastes like, and it's not tasting like that. Wow. That is, I love it. I love it. I love to hear these things because, again, both of mine don't speak, like, actually have a conversation with me or tell me what they want or need with their words verbally. So I love to hear it because number one, it gives me hope that eventually I know my kids will be able to get there. So that's just that's amazing. So is this every time he gets sick? He's having these conversations with you, like, no, I know this is not it. I know what's this, I know what's that. I'm guessing he does well with medication. I mean, he has been with medication or
He does absolutely phenomenal. He has his own alarms on his own phone. I put his medicine in a little catty, and he goes in and he takes exactly what he needs when he needs. There have been times where I'm like, AJ, your medicine. He's like, I already took it.
Oh
Now I
my
have a camera in my
gosh.
kitchen. Don't ever think I don't, but I do because of medicines and things I have to put away. But
Right,
he literally
right.
will go. I mean, I serve him for the day. So he knows exactly what to take in the morning meds and the evening meds. And he takes full blown pills. He has taken up to like 21 pills in a day when he's had to, like, and he'll do it with no
Wow.
problem.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Good job, AJ. Meanwhile, I'm here struggling when my kids get sick. I'm giving them medicine. Girl, Jacob goes bananas. He wants nothing to do with medicine. It's so challenging. Um, well, here's another question, and that is what strengths and special qualities do you see in your child? I mean, we pretty much spoke about them in a little bit, that you want others to appreciate.
One of them, I'm going to have to do a little surprise for you, and I'm going to have to call him here because you will not believe it if I told you. So, one of
My
them is
God.
numbers. He's a numbers kid.
Mm.
So, in math, he does well, but not figuratively in math or not money. He is more a time person. So, very punctual. If I have something to do, like today, he's like, Mom, you have a podcast, and he'll tell you 10 minutes, get ready. He is that person. So with that being
Wow.
said, he loves, one of his favorite things are movie trailers and movies, but what he knows is the dates, the release date, movies that came out before his time, movies that he is not allowed to see because of the ratings. He could still tell you the title, the year, the minutes. So he'll say that movie came out in 1984 and it was 1 hour and 43 minutes. Never having seen it, but because he watches so many movies and trailers and that's his interest, that's one. And what leaves people speechless is my son memorizes the calendar. So I'm going to show you and prove it to you. I'm going to put you on mute so
Wow.
I don't scream in your ear.
Sure. Oh my God. We're going to get to hear AJ.
Okay, so
Listen, this
I'm
is
gonna take off
special
my
edition.
special edition. I'm gonna put on my speaker to my laptop. Okay, can you hear?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Hi, AJ.
so this is AJ. Hi. This is Nani. Hi.
So
So
nice to
AJ,
meet you.
AJ fascinates on the calendar and has the calendar memorized 2024, 2025. So he'll always do the year of the year next. So this is not prefixed, just so anyone knows. If you give him a random day, your birthday, your kid's birthday, your husband's birthday, something that I won't know or he won't know, he's going to tell you what day it lands on this year or next year, whichever one you want to know.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
perfect.
So let's
So
do
let's
my
do
daughter's
my daughter's
birthday,
birthday,
which will
which will
be
be
August
August
16th.
16th. Friday. It's going to be a Friday. So if you want to check it on your phone, you can check it on your phone. That's for this year. What next year?
Next year is a Saturday.
You're on mute.
It
It is. Listen.
is. It is, y'all,
It
by the
is, y'all,
way.
by the way. Yes, you give me any day next year, he'll tell you the same thing.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So
proud of
that's
you,
a
AJ.
gift. And I didn't understand why he was so fascinated, always looking at the calendar for everything. And I thought it was
Yeah.
cute that he knew our anniversary or our birthdays in the family immediately. I didn't realize how far it went. And those are
Wow.
probably the quirks and cute things that we overlook in on the spectrum because they have these fascinations with certain things, and sometimes as parents we support them because we feel like we have to, but we don't really get like what's the
Right.
fascination with the calendar, right? But
Right. Right.
I've learned to appreciate it. He is like my human reminder.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my
I would
gosh,
love
I
to
would
have
love
him
to have
because
him
I just
because
had
I
to
just
get a
had to get a
calendar for my
calendar for my
fridge
fridge
because I
because I
forget
forget
everything,
everything,
AJ.
AJ.
Okay.
Okay.
So I
So
need
I need
someone like you
someone like
in
you
my
in my
life.
life. Yes. Anytime you could borrow him. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
buddy.
buddy.
And yo me lo traigo. Like I just bring him over here. Like just send him for a week, Marlene. Love it. That is amazing. Because listen, I don't keep up with these dates. I tell you that much. I don't keep up with these days.
If it's not on my Outlook, it doesn't exist. If AJ doesn't remind me, it didn't happen. Okay.
That's a blessing though. He is a blessing in your life, girl. That's a keeper. The woman that marries him, okay? Okay, I'm just saying she gonna be
He's
blessed.
Listen, he's so punctual that can you imagine waiting for dinner? So hungry, right? Like your mouth is salivating. And I learn now not to say what do I want later. So let's just say I say, AJ, I need you to take your dirty clothes from upstairs in the hamper and bring it downstairs for me because I'm going to do laundry later. He could be like ready to take his first bite and he will stop, get the laundry because he doesn't want it on his conscience. He needs to get it done immediately. So I learn if I don't want him to jump because he's busy, I just don't ask him anymore because he has to stop whatever he's doing to do
Mm,
whatever it is that you want. So I tell him all the time, you're
mm.
going to be an amazing husband. You're going to take out
Oh,
that trash. As
oh,
soon as your wife says take out the trash, she's going to do it. She's
I
not even going to have
I
to remind
know.
him.
Okay, can he do like a workshop, like to teach the men? Just saying, can he teach the men of this society? Because what's going on? I love that. I love it. I love it. Oh, such a treat. Um, okay, so my last question to you would be, what advice would you give to other parents that are facing similar challenges with their autistic child?
I think um I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way because it's coming from my heart and my experience. Okay. As a parent, caregiver, whomever you are, guardian, please, I need you to understand that you are enough. What you're doing is enough for the current moment. That doesn't mean that next year you can't do something different, you can't add something to your plate, but what you're currently doing is enough. Because we love to compare ourselves. We love to have mom guilt of what we can do more of. Not everyone is put on this earth to start a foundation, start a podcast, advocate this way. Let me tell you, you're working your 40 hours, you're taking your child to their therapy, you're making sure they're getting whatever help, holistic help, AB, whatever you believe in your home. You're doing that, that is enough. We are not to compare ourselves with anyone else, just like on the spectrum, no two kids are alike. No two parents are going to be the same. So I need you to clearly understand that because it's easier said than done, but I've been in your shoes. I am that mom. And me having been an autism mom and a rare disease mom, I always feel pulled. I always feel like I'm not enough for the autism community. I'm not doing enough in advocating solely on autism. Am I doing enough for the rare disease community now? Am I posting too much about autism? Am I not posting enough about ADHD? Am I not? So 2024, I am enough and I'm doing the best that I can with what I have and the time that I'm allocated outside of physically just taking care of my son. So don't feel compelled to do what the next mom or the next dad is doing. Do what works for you in your home.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Drop the mic. I love it, sis. I love it so much. Thank you so much for that advice. And I'm taking that to my heart. I really appreciate you, Marlene, and everything that you are doing. Before we end the episode, I do want you to talk a little bit about the book. Talk to us about the book that you have, the things that you have upcoming, what is going on with the what is it, Helping Swan? Helping Swans, right? Okay, there you go.
So Helping Swans, that's my website, www.helpingswans.com. What I do is I have three main workshops. I go to schools and I go to community centers and churches, and I focus on teaching families how to advocate, being supportive. I teach the importance of caregiving. And I have a capabilities campaign where I go to schools and I teach the importance of knowing that disabilities are both invisible and visible to prevent or try to eliminate as much bullying as possible from my son's experience. So my books come from that same perspective. And AJ Goes to Camp being my first book in English and Spanish um, comes from a place of my son not fitting into one category. In order for me to get a book about him, I would have to buy several books. So I made a book where I showcase 6 diverse kids with 6 different disabilities, autism being one, rare disease being another, and other diseases and other conditions. And the goal is to teach kids in a great way where they actually enjoy reading the book, take something and actually learn from it, and realize, hey, the odds of me knowing someone, are close. I probably have someone in my family that has hearing loss, or I know someone that has muscular dystrophy, and not everyone who has a disability is using a mobile device. So it's bringing that in English, and also the underrepresentation in Spanish. Bringing those books in Spanish is a huge deal for me, and being able to communicate. And for me, I've been blessed, 2 years with my nonprofit organization, having got my first grant last year for $50,000. Next five
Wow.
years was amazing. And I'll be a headline speaker in the first ever, Miami, Florida Autism Conference in 2024. I am
Yes.
speaking
Oh
in a
my
huge rare
God.
disease conference of 2024. I am booked. I'm going to
Wow.
Capitol Hill in the end of February, meeting with legislators and senators and shaking hands.
Yes,
So I
sis.
am booked and busy.
I
Yes.
love that. I celebrate you and everything that you are doing, and just pray nothing but continuous blessings, over your family, over your goals this year. That I know if God is in it, He's just going to continue opening these doors for you. So, and I know you're a believer yourself. And I thank you, Marlene, again for everything that you are doing. And I pray that God continues to, pour his strength over you so you can continue to, be that help for your child physically and be there for him emotionally as well. And for your husband too, shout out to him, shout out to all the husbands who are behind the scenes doing the thing.
Absolutely
um
stepping up to the plate. Absolutely. I,
yes,
I want to say that
yes,
I definitely rejoice. I pray continuously, and I give thanks under all circumstances. And
yes.
because I do it from the heart, nonprofit is based on donations. And before
Mm-hmm.
this grant, I'm still, to this day, it's out of my pocket, out of my savings, but because I know I'm doing
Wow.
things with a purpose, because I know
Yes.
I'm reaching people, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
not worried about everything else. All those things will come and will line up
Yeah.
for me eventually. But the message is getting
Yes.
across, the
Yes.
representation, to see myself being the number one person, the only Latina in the
Mm.
space in a whole conference, time and time again
Wow.
in 2023. It was
Wow.
impactful. So I
Wow.
refuse to stay still.
That's right.
So thank
That's
you
right,
again.
girl.
Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely, sis. It was a pleasure. And like I said, I'm here. Guys, I will leave her website down in the description below, her social media. Make sure you guys are following this amazing mom and her journey with her son, and AM's with AJ. He also has an Instagram I saw. I just recently followed. I will also add that on the description. You guys can give them a follow. And please, if you are going through a situation, where your child either just got diagnosed with autism, or they have a specific rare disease, please, and you're feeling like you don't know who to reach out to, Marlene, let that be your point of contact, because this mama is doing both things. She's walking both journeys. So she will be the great person for you. So thank you guys again for tuning in and listening to this podcast. And I will see you guys again on the next episode. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Uniquely Wired Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this space with me. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share. Until next time.